I have just bought myself a new toy. And yes, it's a classic car. Yes, it's red. Can you guess what it is? You may have guessed from the title or the thumbnail a little bit what it could be. But I'm going to show you an adventure of me picking this up. And what's even cooler, the previous owner had owned this for 29 years and he was a Concorde pilot. So let's get on the road and go pick this baby up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this car. Basically, my dad is a gardener and I used to work with my dad. This car has been in one of his customers' garages and I've always said, when you sell that car, let me know because I want it. Time has come for the customer to sell this car. The owner has had this car for 28 years. 28 years is a long time. So it's the next day, it's a bit wet today, but we've picked up the trailer. We're towing with this Tiguan, my dad's Tiguan. It's only down the road, so let's go pick it up. So you guys ready to see what it is? It is a Porsche 944. Sadly, we're going to have to push this car out because 5 years ago the starter motor stopped and the radiator hose split. And because the driveway was in a very awkward position, we had to tow it around the corner to then load it up on the trailer, which clearly I've forgotten how to use a ramp. Obviously, we have to winch this onto the trailer due to the starting issue, which took quite a while, but we got there and it was cold, wet and miserable. Make sure we strap it down so it's not going to go anywhere on our way home. And there we go. We've got it loaded up, but man, that was hard work because it's raining, wet, cold, and the brakes were seized a little bit, but we've finally got it on there. So now we've got to take it back to Essex. So let's go. Got off the trailer last night and then it got a little bit too dark for us to carry on filming. So it's now the next day and we're just going to have a look over to see if we can get it running or not. So we're going to start with the battery because obviously they've said it's a starter motor issue, but it could be as simple as the battery. So we'll check with that first. It is disconnected, so it could well be as simple as that. Before we even start it, let's make sure we've got some nice clean fuel in there to run through the engine. Then let's put a little booster pack on and see if it starts. And not even a peep. So she won't start, but I don't know if you noticed that, the hazards were flashing when I had the ignition on and the hazard switch wasn't on. So that could maybe be the immobiliser. Trying to find a immobiliser box under here, and I don't know if you can hear that, but can you hear that clicking? Is it? What's this? Ah. If I unplug this, what happens? Oh, the lock's just unlocked. So this is obviously the immobiliser. So before we fiddle around too much with this, I'm going to disconnect the battery and then try and follow the wires to see where it is on the ignition and see if we can bypass it. So like I said, what I'm going to try and do is follow the wires to see if they lead to the ignition or anything like that. and then see if we can bypass it and then see if the starter goes. So I've been following all these wires around for the last, I don't know, half an hour, and then I just, up here, I saw a little red button. So let's see what happens when we press that. Oh, don't know if you heard that. That stopped clicking. Right, if it is as simple as that, happy days. Let's find out. Oh my life, the starter's working, but it's not firing. But I'm going to check the sparks and the fuel to see if it's getting both of them. And then hopefully if it's getting all that, it should start. I just took this off here onto a fuel rail, cranked it over a little bit, and fuel was coming out of there. So the fuel pump's working, and I can hear the fuel pump underneath if I put my head under there. So next step is to take a spark plug out and see if that is getting a spark. I'm going to check each spark plug for a spark. The best way to do this is to put it against some metal and crank the engine over. And as you can see, we're getting a spark, and it did this on all four. I'm now going to try and see if the injectors are faulty in any way by removing the fuel rail. Give it a wiggle, get it out. There they are. We're looking for a mist of fuel, but there is nothing. So the injectors aren't opening up, which means they're not getting a current to them, which probably means the little computer isn't getting a reading from the crank sensor to tell them to open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order a crank sensor. There's a Porsche place just around the corner from me, and fit a new one of them, and hopefully it starts. I couldn't get the proper camera angle to show you exactly where these are, but they're down at the back of the engine. Simply, we're going to take out the old ones, they're just one bolt, and then put the new ones in, plug them in, and hopefully this fixes our issue. Now, what do we think? Do you think that's got it? Well, let's try. Come on. What? No way. Does she rev? What? We got her running. I honestly can't believe we got her running. Sounds a bit like a budgie, but she's running. So I've got to work out what that budgie sound is. Yeah, I'm a bit speechless. So before we even drive her, we need to sort out this leak in the rad, because obviously without coolant, the engine's gonna get way too hot and we can cause more damage than we want. So this hose down here, it's leaking from there. So I don't know if it's the bottom of the rad or this hose. It could be split by the Jubilee. So the cheapest option, obviously first, is to replace this hose and see if that fixes it. If it doesn't, then obviously it's the rad. Simply, I'm going to take the old hose out and check it for any splits. It was a little bit perished, but no splits. Then whack the new one in, tighten it up, and hopefully no leaks. So guys, it's been a few weeks since that last clip you just saw. The reason is, it's been chucking it down non-stop. Work has got in the way. So I've now brought it in the bay to do the rest of it. But the problem is, that hose I just replaced didn't solve the leak. So unfortunately, it is the radiator. I've ordered a new radiator, got it here today. So we're gonna now fit that, and then hopefully no more leaks. We're gonna take the under tray off so we can get to everything underneath, because the easiest way is to take the radiator out from underneath the vehicle. Inspecting the radiator, we can see it's leaking from this joint here. Let's take it out by firstly removing all the coolant by taking this bottom hose off, catching it in a bucket. Then it's simply held in by 2 bolts at the top which have rubber grommets which just pressurise it down. Once we've removed all the hoses, it should just wiggle out. There's a little bit of brute force, but it does come out. Now I'm just going to take all the hardware off the old radiator that we need to put on the new one, such as the fan, the thermostat and any hoses left on it. Once we've got them all off, let's put it on the new radiator, ready to go back in the car. We're now going to carefully align the new radiator into the spot it needs to be. This was a little bit difficult, but with a little bit of encouragement, I managed to get it in there. Once all the hoses are back attached, we're now going to fill the system back up with coolant. Before we run it up to temperature, we need to change that old oil. Try not to spill it everywhere. We also changed the oil filter, so now we're going to top it up with nice fresh oil, getting ready to bring it up to temperature. It sounds very tappy because the oil has yet to fill up everything in the engine. This will get better. What I'm going to do now is unscrew this bleeding nipple to let all the air out of the system. What will happen here is the water will eventually come out the top, knowing that there's no more air in there. Once that's done, we're going to tighten it back up, bring the revs up a little bit, and we should have a fully led system. As you can hear, she's alive. She's now at temperature. The fan is on and the coolant has circulated and all the air is out of the system. So she is running lovely. And as you can see, out of the exhaust, nice and clear as well. And she's been running for about 30 minutes now. And as you can see, bang in the middle. Absolutely perfect. So guys, I braved taking her for her first MOT in 5 years this morning and she passed. I can't believe it. She's actually on the road and I can enjoy it. And look, the sun's coming out. Perfect weather for this car. I can't wait to actually get some miles under my belt in it, make sure the engine's all running fine and smoothly. But to the MOT station, she ran absolutely beautifully. So yeah, let's get some miles under her. But I'm going to do a little series on this car. So the next video, I'm going to be doing detailing on her, because obviously that's what I mainly do, is detailing. She is covered in swirls. The paint is very faded. It's that era of red paint, it does that. So yeah, if you want to see that next video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also give this video a like, and I will see you in the next one.